We've had a lot of Scream news recently, so I'm going to try to condense it and put as much in here as I can talk about at once. So let's go. So, as most of you already know, just a few days ago, Melissa Barrera was suddenly, and as this article from Vangoria says, controversially, especially so in my mind, dropped from the next Scream film, Scream 7, for essentially saying that, hey, I'm not really a big fan of genocide. Can we, maybe not do this? And yeah, as society has been in the past and as it is now, that for some reason is being frowned upon. So she was let go of the film. There's been a huge backlash against Spyglass Entertainment since that happened. And not just the fans aren't the only ones that are revolting. So 1 day later, Jenna Ortega drops out of the project. Spyglass citing that it was a scheduling conflict, which is very interesting because the week prior to these events, it had been announced that Jenna Ortega, busy with Scream 7, Beetlejuice 2, Wednesday Season 2, they had actually found a workaround to get her there in a limited role. A little bit of a smaller role than what she had had in the previous two films, but the scheduling was no longer going to be a conflict. All of a sudden, Marissa Barrera is let go, and the very next day, Jenna Ortega walks away from Scream. Now, like I said, some people are saying it's a scheduling conflict. I don't buy it. Not just because the problem of the schedules had already apparently been solved, but you also have to take into equation that the two of them, Barrera and Ortega, are pretty tight. Both of them are supporting Palestine. So if I'm looking at this, what does Occam's razor say? It says that she walked because Barrera was dropped. And if you're wondering, what about Chad and Mindy? Well, Mason Gooding and Jasmine Savoy Brown were listed in this Variety article that I'm going to get into a little bit more here momentarily as returning to the cast. However, this article was edited, and the highlights you see here, speaking about Gooding and Brown, were removed completely. So if I had to take a guess right now, I'd say the chances of the Meeks twins returning are kind of slim. And honestly, without the Carpenter sisters, what's the point? And finally, from that very same Variety article, a full creative reboot after losing Ortega. Lol, go fuck yourself, Spyglass. They're now scrambling to try to put something together. They've got the original writers from Scream 5 and 6 back onto the project, completely rebooting it because, no Carpenter sisters. I imagine the story's probably going to be a slightly different than what it originally intended to be. So now it looks like Spyglass is after Neve Campbell, who they didn't want to pay what she was worth for the last film. Now they're begging and sucking up to her, apparently trying to get her desperately back, as well as Patrick Dempsey. Those two names being on their wish list. I imagine Courtney Cox is going to be involved. She was the producer of the last one. I imagine, what we're probably going to be seeing now is a departure from the Carpenter Sisters story. I think now, at this point, it looks like the Carpenter Sisters story effectively ended with Scream 6, and now Scream 7, at least according to what we're seeing now, is going to be reaching more into the past instead of continuing on into the future. So what do you all think? Right now, I'm on Team Boycott Scream 7. There's a lot of bullshit going on right now that needs to be atoned for. Personally, I wish that Spyglass would sell the rights and we could get back on to doing an incredible Scream 7 that we were supposed to be doing to begin with. But I guess we'll see what we get in the end. Like I said, for now, I'm Team Boycott this movie. A lot of bullshit. I'm not with it.